friends are there. Hooray! Salty's Lighthouse, shining a light to guide the way. Salty's Lighthouse.
Salty is a lively lad who loves to run and play. He waves hello to every tug that chugs across the bay. He has a crew of friendly mates he visits every day. And what's the song they sing as they go on their merry way?
Big City Port, a fictional location set within the United States of America, filled with American tugboats with British accents.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, we're watching, future.
You're warrior! What a promotion! Great to see you off garbage detail!
Thanks. Big Mac and me will make a great team.
To state the obvious, yes, Tugs is set in the United States of America, but as we all know, the show was made in the United Kingdom, with UK voice actors that made up the cast. It seemed like the original intention for Tugs was for it to catch on in the UK in order to get it out in the US. Unfortunately, Tugs had problems that made it fail in its attempt to break into the United States, namely its tone problem and also just not really working out as a kids show. First, despite 3 to 4 episodes being allegedly tested with the United States dub, on top of the promotional sizzle reel being revamped for the market, Tugs never released in the US. In its original state, that is. Here comes 1997, when a show, produced by TLC and made by Sunbow Entertainment, released a preschool kids show called... Okay, stop the intro. I think you know what the show is called if you clicked on the video. Salty's Lighthouse, a show about a young boy named Salty who somehow goes to a lighthouse where he uses his imagination to meet friends that learn lessons and usually stuff like that in a kids show. Salty's friends include Oko the octopus, Claude the crab, Sophie and Sadie the seagulls, Chovy, the one who has the lighthouse, Aurora the light, Seymour the binoculars. Okay, I think I had enough. In these segments, Salty goes through his daily life, learning about stuff a character from a show like this would typically learn, like sharing and being nice. Throughout the episode, usually through Seymour the binoculars, one of the characters would pick him up and transition into the infamous Tugs segments. These segments usually relate to the main plot of the episode, such as Stop the Music having the Tug segment be about Grampus trying to get someone to sing a song for him, or in Some Guys Have All the Luck, where it's actually a very loose adaptation of the episode Jinxed. Many characters from Tugs have been altered in one way or another in order to suit the younger audience and standards for the series. The first was making a few characters female, Sunshine and Captain Star most notably, which I argue actually kinda works out for both. Sunshine sort of makes sense as he being the smallest member of the Starfleet and he possibly being the most gender neutral design of the main characters, it wasn't too jarring to make him a girl. In fact, funnily enough, as brought up in my international Tugs dub video, Sunshine's Japanese voice is very feminine as well. So Sunshine being a girl isn't necessarily out of the blue as you might think.
Oh, you're just feeling bad because you got up on the wrong rudder with the captain.
Captain Star was probably a very easy one to do, as obviously there really is no design trait on his megaphone to indicate his gender. To be honest, I actually really like the idea of Star being a woman. It definitely makes the show more inclusive than the original series, which, quick fun fact, there were only 3 female characters. Lily, Sally Seaplane, and Pearl, one of which was almost entirely cut outside of the 20-minute cuts. Another interesting change was name changes. There were definitely characters from Tugs who had their name changed or censored throughout the show, either due to controversy or copyright reasons, or for no reason whatsoever. The first notable example is Big Mac being creatively renamed Big Stack. I see. OJ was renamed to Otis, Zebedee was inconspicuously renamed ZB. Like, why? But what about Johnny Huber, who was simply renamed Steamer? Very creative, I must say. Interestingly, the Coast Guard and JB Jones was merged into one character called Cappy, and my personal favourite, Burke and Blair, being renamed Mr. Boffo and Mr. Socko, who are movie producers.
Ahoy there! I'm Mr. Buffo.
I'm Mr. Sacco.
We do mega hits.
You mean your boxers?
No, babe. We're big-time movie producers.
You've probably seen our Buffo Sacco movies.
Beauty and the Boat.
Jurassic Harbor.
Tugrats.
Hooray! Speaking of personality changes, Izzy Gomez was toned down significantly from his, for lack of a better term, stereotypical portrayal in the original series. In Salty's Lighthouse, he speaks with a more generic accent, and is also a lot more friendly in the show.
Ooh, that ought to hold me.
Or what about the Z-Stacks in general, which are simply known as the Zeros, or the Zero Tugs. In Tugs, to quote the sizzle reel, the Z-Stacks were the wily, devious tugs of Captain Zero, who displayed the darker side of the tugboat industry. They would often try to impede and stop the stars from getting the contract when needed. In Salty's Lighthouse, the Zeros are portrayed as friends to the stars, although some friendly rivalry stories do show up in places, such as The Race, the famous episode where Zack blew a gasket. The Zeros in general portrayed much more nicely in Salty's than how they are in Tugs, which is a bit contradicting, knowing Scott McNeil's legendary performance, like no joke, this guy straight up kills it as Zoran, portrays him with a more wily and devious voice.
You did what? I don't want to hear your excuses. I give you a job to do and you let the Zero Fleet down.
Speaking of which, the voices in the Tug segments in Salty's Lighthouse are interesting to say the least. When compared to the UK dub of Tugs, there's actually no contest. The voice acting in Lighthouse does not compare to how earnest and down-to-earth the voice acting was on Tugs.
Something new. Today it's the sight of a floating sack of coal, no less.
If you'd been shifting coal, you'd be dirty.
Well, at least you don't smell. That's something.
However, on its own merits, and compared to the US dub, which I'm not really a big fan of, it's fine. There were definitely some fitting voices like Zaga, Top Hat, and Warrior.
There's something else. But I love what I do.
Oh, liners and barges, garbage to tow away. Make way, warriors coming. You need a muscle tug like me for this job.
And then there are others that do not fit at all, like Zip, Boomer in Banana Splits, and especially Izzy Gomez. Again, the latter was seemingly changed for obvious reasons. For what it is, it's fine. Until they start singing. Oh god, no. Again, except Zoran though.
Oh, there's liners and barges and garbage to tow. Gonna blow the old horn, just like so.
Anyways, on to more interesting stuff. The footage from Salty's Lighthouse's Tug segments were mainly sourced from the 35mm masters of the Tugs episodes, namely all the 15-minute cuts, and for some reason, Pirates 20. The other 20-minute cuts that were commercially released were sourced from 1-inch videotape masters, hence the quality and colour differences.
Attention, all hands on deck! It's Salty's Song Time!
There are also segments hosted by a character simply referred to as the Clock, who plays music videos with public domain black and white films? Yeah, definitely the least interesting part of the show overall if you ask me. Although I will admit some of the songs are nice, but that's really I gotta say really. And although this is a very short video, I will have to say, that's it. That's all my thoughts on Salty's Lighthouse. Again, a bit short, but I generally have not much to say about it. At the end of the day, it's a show that only people who have time for it are toddlers. Literally so. So to bash the absolute heck out of it seems unreasonable. It could be my tolerance in terms of stuff like this, but besides Backwards Day, which by the way, I only really despise the Tug segment for how terrible it truly is, just look at this is just, no. But at the end of the day, it's just a harmless little preschooler show. Is it bad for Tug standards? Absolutely. Bad as a kid show? Sort of. It's got major flaws going against it, such as it being a bit annoying at times, but for what I've seen, at worst, it can make me a little bit grumpy at the nonsense. But it is nonsense nonetheless. Overall, while it did fail to bring Tugs to America in the sense of the original series, for what it is, I think it's a neat chapter of Tugs history with some interesting elements. Although, unless you're as tolerant as me with a show like this, I don't recommend watching Salty's Lighthouse, like, at all. But, if you want a flavour of it, I recommend watching the unofficial TUGS segment account, run by Special Trees, go follow him on Twitter or whatever, TUGS vs Salty's Lighthouse video. It definitely shows the contrast between both very well. But anyways, with that all being said, I'll see you all soon. Credits to everything is listed in the description down below. Stay tuned for an important update video concerning the future of analytical content for the channel. But until then, I thank you all so much for the support over the years, and hopefully I'll see you all soon. Have a tug-tastic, tunerific, and sizzle-tastic day. Bye bye!